it kind of screws over the end user and they're not going to want to buy it
Right.
ultimately.
I don't think they should be allowed to do that.
But that's exactly what they would do.
I know, but like that's I it just makes me mad when because it's like they assume their margins could never increase or like it always has to decrease. So it's like, oh, suddenly there's a new product that I want to use, but it's more expensive or something, then I'm just gonna not take that into my margins even though it should be because it's a product that you're
Right.
using and just pass it on. Like, because they don't want to change how the it's been. Like, I don't know, it just makes me mad.
Right.
But that is, yeah, capitalism. But we gotta figure out something to do with these plastics, or they need to figure it out. The people that are using it constantly to like
Which is
producing it.
we, as in us as packaging professionals.
Yeah, but we're not in the plastics industry.
Right.
I didn't join the plastics industry for a reason.
We source some plastics, but majority is paper.
Yeah, I think we only use like styrofoams and stuff if like a customer really wants it. But like we have other products that can replace that we try to.
Right. Yeah, you're always going to be, since you're a paper manufacturer, you're always going to be pushing using that over plastic. And like,
Yeah.
because you're not going to be the one sourcing that.
Right. Yeah, we want to use what we make, so.
Right.
But yeah, I just because of these five reasons they outlined, like it doesn't seem like plastics will be better recycled maybe ever.
I think it's only going to get worse,
Yeah,
honestly.
I think it will get worse. I mean, that's kind of what the report's calling for. Like, we need to figure this out now before we are like Wally. Like, that's our future, I think.
I feel like we're already there and we just can't acknowledge it.
Well, we're not like in our trash piles with robots cubing it all
I
yet.
guess.
That's
San
Wally.
Antonio is like the fifth dirtiest city in the country. And we just had a bunch of flooding, and Mark and I went to the park this
Oh,
morning. Disgusting. Like, there's plastic
yeah.
everywhere. And it was like, there's like a point in the river where they filter it all out. They have big nets that catch all the trash. And we were past that, downriver from that.
Oh,
And it was still disgusting.
yeah. Maybe we are there already. You know, like, was it what, the 70s or when was it where like rivers were like catching on fire because of like all the
Yeah,
pollutants
I
and
think
stuff?
60s and 70s.
Yeah, I think that's gonna happen with plastics too now. Like that's where we're at.
Right.
'Cause they tried
Oh
to,
my
I mean, they
god.
cleaned up a lot of that.
Yeah, Green Bay had paper mills on the river that dumped toxins into it, and they're still like dredging it up and cleaning it up, but all of the like dredge
Oh,
material that they get out of the bottom of the river has to go to a landfill because it's so
oh.
polluted, even though
Yeah,
it was just in the
eventually,
ground 10 minutes
eventually we're
ago.
gonna run out of landfill, I feel like.
Right.
And then what? I do know some paper packaging that's like trying to mimic plastics. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, we can.
Like molded pulp to replace foam.
Right, or like I think they're doing stuff with um the mushrooms to
Oh
replace
yeah.
foam. I like
Yeah.
molded pulp though. I think it tends to work very well.
Yeah, I like molded pulp too. But like the question is what do you do with like liquids?
Right, because it has to be like even if it's in some kind of molded pulp, there still has to be the plastic barrier on it.
Right. Yeah. Um, I saw a TikTok about cellulose acetate, but apparently that was used before plastics were invented, and it was like a film, but made
Yeah,
out of
that's what
cellulose.
wasn't that the weren't we talking about that with the eucalyptus is one of
Oh
the
yeah, right. Couldn't we just use that?
it's probably expensive, but yeah,
I
I know they
know.
used to use it.
Yeah, like could we just go back to that? I don't know. It doesn't. I thought there was like, because fibers like having water, right? Couldn't, I thought there was something that I read that like you could flip
Yeah,
it
I was
so
actually
it's,
just looking that up recently because I was thinking about. I don't know what I was thinking about, but wow, I don't remember why I was looking into it. But like, you can treat the fibers to be hydrophobic
right.
somehow.
Yeah, maybe we could do that. Maybe we should join the plastics industry to overturn their products.
Right.
Like,
I want to know what I was thinking about making now. Like, what the
oh,
fuck was I doing? Just Googling.
oh, I think I read an article at work somehow, or it came up. I'm not sure. Also I saw, I feel like this was like maybe 8 years ago or something now, but I saw like a molded pulp helmet that someone made and it like passed inspections. It's like, why can't we do that more?
I
Like,
don't know. I've never heard of that because most helmets
oh,
are styrofoam. I should probably start calling it EPS, but I feel like no one's gonna know what I'm
yeah,
talking about. But
right. Yeah, I just say styrofoam. I will say corrugated, but instead of cardboard, since that's my part of the industry,
right.
but yeah, I'll just keep saying styrofoam instead of polystyrene. I don't know. I have to find it and show you, but I feel like I saw it in high school or something.
Yeah, that. I mean, there's so many applications where it doesn't need to be. But styrofoam is so cheap. That's the big problem. It
Yeah,
is dirt cheap.
right.
And it can't be recycled at all. So,
Yeah, do not put styrofoam in your recycling. It cannot be at all recycled. It's just gonna mess up the mix.
everything. Yeah.
Like just throw it. I mean, I don't know what you do with it. Use it for something else. I
Yeah.
guess
That's why I
what
hate
should the normal person do with it?
the styrofoam packing peanuts because it's like we already have the starch ones that just dissolve.
Yeah,
Why do you need to be using foam ones for anything? In
right.
what world do you need that? They're permanent and they're a fucking mess and they're annoying.
Yeah, but what does the normal person do with it? I just take my stuff to work because we have the bins to use it for other stuff. But like
Oh,
if you get a TV and you don't have a facility to take it to, like what are you supposed to
yeah,
do
you
with
just
it?
throw it away.
I know. That's ridiculous.
But, but, I feel like I have to say this. You also have to consider that if you didn't use the styrofoam and you shipped the TV and all the TVs broke, usually the environmental impact of replacing the entire TV that broke and re-transporting it tends to be higher than the environmental impact of the like plastic and the like the protective packaging in
Right.
the first place.
Right.
So
That's true.
we just need alternatives.
Yeah, I mean there are some alternatives, I thought.
Yeah. And there's molded pulp and
Yeah. I have seen molded pulp more, I feel like.
there's like I know there's something with mushrooms where they like I don't know if they grow it in a mold or if it's like chopped up, but I've heard of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I've heard of that too. Yeah, I guess they're starting to figure it out. I don't know. Just I feel like will it be soon enough to not ruin or the
I
whole
think it's
planet?
already too late.
It's already too late. Yeah. I mean, it could be. I guess we won't know. That's history. History has to decide, like the people
Yeah.
of the future, but yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about paper packaging too, like how Save the Trees is propaganda.
Yeah, fuck them.
It's like, wait, who came up with that? Like, Save the
Probably
Trees,
the
don't use
plastics
paper.
industry.
I should
I
have
don't
looked that up. Oh my
I
gosh, wait.
honestly think it was probably people who saw the immediate environmental impact in their area and said we shouldn't like it's people who aren't educated on the entire system who see something and they're upset about it so they're like
Yeah,
let's fix this little tiny problem that's really not a problem at all because I don't understand it, but I don't like seeing the end use.
Right.
It's
Yeah, I think
probably
it
kind
is.
of a NIMBY, not in my backyard thing where it's like, I don't want this happening around me, so.
Right. Yeah, I think it probably started with good intentions, but
Right.
you can't just say stuff without understanding how it's like the whole thing. Like it's not that simple of just save the trees, don't use paper packaging. Like
Right.
then you're just gonna
Especially, I
be,
feel like it's a lot of like office paper too, or people
yeah,
who
like don't
get
print the
stuff.
email.
Yeah.
People put that in their whatever, the signature all the time.
Uh
Like
huh.
think twice before you print this email to use the
But
paper for it.
the energy to recall that email 10 times, like the computer energy to
Yeah,
pull it up every time you
right.
need to see it, like to. Usually, isn't it like. I'm pretty sure that there's more, like that the internet and that computers use a lot more energy. Like all of that digital stuff
Yeah,
uses more energy than paper. Like the environmental impact is worse than what
right.
paper would be.
And like the servers and stuff for
Yeah.
the, yeah. Yeah, I remember in Japan, like they don't, well, people carry their own like little washcloth or something to wipe their hands with, but like they do sometimes have the electric like air dryers, but they don't have any like paper towels or anything. Like I remember one of my Japanese friends was like, what do we have in the United States and stuff? And I'm like, oh, we kind of have a mix of both or whatever. And she was just like, well, this one's so much better because it's the air dryer and you don't use any paper towels at all and no waste at all. And it's like, well, that's not true actually, because think of how much
Right.
electricity that is to do. Like, it's good that they use their own like washcloth. Like, that's the best thing to do. They shouldn't have put hand dryers in there,
Right. And like
probably.
the problem with energy and all of that digital stuff is like we don't have clean energy at all.
Right. Yeah.
Like it is really bad. So when you're like, "Oh, well, it's because you don't see the immediate impact and that's why people feel like it's better because you don't see the burning coal and the mining and the garbage
Right.
incineration or whatever they're doing to get this electricity."
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know all companies, obviously, but like there are some companies that forest responsibly because that's their
Right.
source of income. So they're gonna make sure you can't just keep buying more land with more trees. You have to take care of the trees that you're doing.
And they like, this is gonna sound like paper propaganda, so I apologize, but we, like, when a company owns forest land, they're renting it. Well, they don't usually own it, they usually rent it from like local farmers who own a lot of
Yeah.
land, and they pay them to keep it as woods, as forest, over selling it to become a housing development or selling it to become anything. Like they're and creating a monetary incentive for people to keep their land as just forest land over turning it into something else because ultimately that's their source of income.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Like,
Oh.
if it stopped, no, it's fine. No, that was good. If it stops being profitable, then they're gonna sell it
Right.
to whoever, and it's gonna become a mall or townhouses or whatever. Like, then there's no trees to save. Like,
Or farm it into something else. And is that
yeah,
any better? I mean,
agriculture. Yeah, and then we're gonna have dust everywhere.
yeah, I've heard people say that, like, essentially at this point, the forest land is like the equivalent, like, paper fiber is the equivalent of, like, corn crops. Like, it's managed and it's a crop.
Oh,
It's not like they're just cutting down random forests.
right. Yeah, it's a plot of land that they're using just for that over and over again. Yeah. So like maybe make converting it to a tree farm to use for paper was probably environmentally devastating because of all the animals there. But like now that it's being maintained,